Okay. Okay. Hey, what's up, bookworms? So we're back for another talk about nothing. Tonight I'm joined by two very successful published authors, but they also run a very successful podcast, the SFF Addicts Podcast. This is MJ and this is Adrian. Fellas, how are you this evening?
Doing
Hello.
fantastic, buddy.
I'm wonderful. How
Not
are
feeling
you?
successful today, but that's life.
No, I mean, you got to take those little tiny gifts that you get.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. I can't think of a good example. So, look, I'm excited to have this on here because I told you guys when I talked on your channel that I found you, I think I found your podcast back in like 2021.
Mhm.
And my channel was still kind of like in its infancy at the time. So it was really cool to be able to be on your channel now, have you on here. It's a real honor. I'm really excited because I came up in podcasting, so it's really exciting to see when people are still doing
No, but
it.
you were doing old school podcasting now.
Yeah, no video. It was just iTunes. I'd actually moved to video until they decided they were taking away Google Hangouts. You remember Google Hangouts?
Oh yeah.
They're
Oh my
taking away
gosh, I
Google
remember Google
Hangouts.
Hangouts. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I switched to YouTube Live because I didn't want to pay to host my podcast, because I was broke at the time. So it was kind of and also, you're gifted with this face. It's like, well, let's just kind of keep this just an audio only thing. Because I think I had a person tell me one time, you got a face made for radio, and I was like, okay, well, no more internet for me for a while.
You're like, thanks for that. I feel great about myself now.
It's like great. I needed a backhanded compliment today.
Do you remember how hard it used to be on iTunes? How it used to make it such a pain in the ass. Now, literally, like things, it's just like seriously a one button click and it uploads to like 5 different things.
No, I mean now they have so many different platforms that you can do like
You just
Spotify
mask
for
up to everything.
podcasters. There's
That's
Acast,
amazing.
a bunch of different ones that basically just like upload your podcast all across the interwebs.
Man, they used to be like you've got to have an avatar that's 14 by 1400 or something. It was like something nuts, or else it would not publish to iTunes. It used to be such a pain in my ass. I couldn't stand it. So I was glad when I got
It made
here.
me kind of sad when they took away iTunes, though. It's like just like piss off Apple Music.
Right.
Well, the thing
Apple
was, is
Podcast.
it's just called Apple Music now, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I
Apple
was a bit sour.
Podcasts. Yeah.
But I was podcasting so long ago that like I couldn't even get approved for Spotify. Now they're like, oh, you have a pulse? Yeah, you come on Spotify. Come on.
in, yeah.
No big deal. No big
They
deal.
even let you do video. They were like, video's exclusive. We got to pay you millions. No. Everyone can do it now. We don't care anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely been a changing game, but I'm glad that you guys kind of stay nice. You do that primarily there much more than because you don't upload the FanFi Addict very much anymore, do you? On YouTube?
I mean, all the video like every week goes up to FanFi Addict, and then
Oh.
yeah, basically like I just edit the episode, and then I'll do like a specific little outro, one for YouTube, one without anything for Patreon, and then one for Spotify.
Sometimes I'm like, that's the same podcast, right? FanFi Addict and SFF Addict. It's the same
No,
thing, right?
SFF Addicts is a little baby.
We're
part of
we're
FanFi
under
Addict.
the
Spinoff?
FanFi Addict umbrella.
Umbrella. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, as far as like podcasting goes, like, what's you guys' ultimate goal with that? Do you ever plan to make the full transition just to YouTube, or are you guys cool just sticking where you're at?
I mean, my goal is just to be able to ask famous authors questions and have them actually answer them.
Right. Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. MJ's just like I want the perks. Of
Yeah, I
getting
want to
meet
talk to
all
cool
these
people. That's it.
I said when I started my things, my wife said, "What's your like ultimate goal with this?" I was like, "I think someone asked me to like blurb their book would be really cool." Now I'm like, I ain't got time, man.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm too big
cool.
for that now.
No, definitely not too big. It's just the thing is like they want me to like, oh, well, you're gonna have to like read it like right now. And like I can't.
Yeah.
I can't read
Yeah.
it right now. I mean, I will read it, but I can't do it. Like I can't.
No, yeah. blurb
Sorry,
usually
Ryan
is
Cahill. I
like-
don't have time to read your 1,300 page book right now to
Suck
give you
it,
a blurb.
Ryan.
So that's just how it goes. But
Yeah.
so
But, like-
how about publishing? Now, how you guys feeling about this and authoring and doing all those big author things? How's that going for you? How'd the
I think-
Mushroom
I
Blues
think-
launch go?
I think the podcast, looking back on it in hindsight, the podcast was the best thing I could have done before publishing a book.
Mhm.
Just because like I got to meet amazing people
Yeah,
like MJ.
you got your name out there a little bit. I think,
Get
yeah.
my name out there, just sort of develop a bit of an audience. I know there's a stigma, depending on who you ask and who's reading what, about content creators releasing books.
Mhm.
And yeah, like sure there are mediocre ones out there, like content creators that put out mediocre books, but I've seen a lot of content creators. You know, our mutual friend Evan Lycum, who Mike was on the podcast with a couple months ago, he's got his debut coming out next year, and MJ's already read it, and apparently it's
really good.
amazing. So it's like there's a big disparity there. Doesn't just mean that because you're a content creator doesn't mean you can also be a good author.
Sure.
And from my experience, it was a really good preparation.
I think
to
so.
meet all these people and just ask them all these questions, because I started the podcast back in 2021 just because I wanted to pick the brains of really talented people for free, and like it worked out very well in that regard. So I have notebooks of every episode I've done, just like filling them up with notes that I've taken across the history of this podcast.
That's awesome.
And that has all been stuff that I've applied to my writing.
As I think that's the question I get asked the most is, so are you ever going to write a book? I'm like, you guys don't want me to write a book. There's a reason I do this, because no.
You've got a face for literature.
No, I was like, it's like why I'm the worst D&D player ever, because I'm like, I'm just a barbarian. I'm just gonna punch everybody real hard. Because if I tried to write a story, I tell people it would just be a blatant rip off of Lord of the Rings meets Dune. And I know a lot of people make good careers out of that. I'm just not that guy.
Yeah.
So
Christopher Rocchio's already got like the Dune thing taken care of.
Yeah, Christopher's awesome. I just opened up his diamond edition of his Kickstarter right before I did this, and I'm still kind of like buzzing, because it's like might be one of the most beautiful books I've ever seen in my life. But you know, it happens. Someone's asking about this, so I'm just going to tease him real fast.
Okay.
Just finished it today.
Oh, dang!
Nice.
Yeah.
How was it?
I was going to say, what's the vibe?
It was awful, guys. Don't worry about it. It's terrible. Because I told people people told me I was getting them too excited. So I was like, okay, yeah. Now I'll just tell you it's terrible. No, it's very good. It's very good. It's very good. And the thing that sucks about getting it early is I got to wait even longer than you guys for book number 2. See? There you go.
Yeah.
Unless you get that one early too, then.
So what about your book journey, MJ? How's that been for you?
Oh, you know.
Keep up with the details, you guys.
It's a journey. It's a journey.
All
No,
the
so
juicy
I
details.
mean, it's been a couple I since I put a book out. I guess a year and a half. My second one came out in 2023. Yeah, I'm like doing the trad route of stuff. So my agent's got a few of my things kicking around right now, and see if we can sell it. But you know, trying some different genres, because traditional fantasy is a tough sell a little bit right now, unless you've got more of a name than I do. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying I got some horror projects out there. So we'll see. We'll see.
But it's been good to like get to know MJ and learn about how goddamn rough trad publishing can be, because like
I'm
SFF
not the only one that's told you that.
No,
Many
I
of
know,
our
I
guests
know.
have.
I've heard many sides of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is a swath of anecdotal evidence that I have.
I think back to my Sweet Summer Child days when I first started this, and I was interviewing Michael J. Sullivan, and I asked him, how much courage did it take to leave orbit and go out on your own? He's like, none. I actually make money now. And I'm like, whoa. I had no idea. I thought, man, that's got to be like risky. You know, what if your book's done? I mean, Michael J. Sullivan, his Kickstarters get funded in like 3 minutes.
Oh my gosh, he's like the king of Kickstarter.
But until Sanderson came along, and he's not bitter about that at all. Trust me. He's not bitter about that. But it's just I had no idea. I thought, oh, you get signed by a publisher, you've got it made. And I've heard so many stories now, and I feel like the people that are self-pubbing feel like they got it a little better now.
I'm going hybrid. I'm planning on self-pubbing a project.
I've been convincing MJ year. Just like do it.
Yeah.
Do
and
it.
then, trying to do trad as well. Hey, we know you guys.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I think that's the move for the future. It's hybrid. Yeah. Honestly.
Because we've talked to our friend Stephen Ryan about it. He just released his first self-pub project about a month ago. Like 2 months, like a month and a half ago. New York Minute, and we talked to him a lot about hybrid as kind of this path forward for a lot of authors, because what the traditionally published authors are seeing is, because if you're a reader, you might not know what it's like inside like the author community. Everybody's talking to each other, and everybody's talking shit about what's happening with their publishers or what's happening with their careers or what have you. It's just like the honest truth about it.
Well, it's
And
just more like it moves so slowly, and you can't really like. I have 4 projects that are finished and theoretically ready to go right now,
right,
but it just moves so slowly that I can't put anything out until blah 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 blah.
exactly.
So being able to do kind of
Yeah, but I've heard the horror stories from like full on being held hostage. Basically they bought your 3 books, but then they don't ask you to give you the second one, and you're just kind of like held hostage there. I've heard
Right.
about that. I've heard like look what Christopher went through with 𝕤𝕠𝕟𝕕, where they're just dicked him around. He finally just left and went back to Bain, and they're like, "Oh well, we messed up. Will you please come back?" It's
Right.
just hearing some of these things. I'm just like, this just doesn't sound fun. No.
Yeah.
no, it's that's the thing where it's like this is where like art and capitalism are coming together, right? And like
Exactly.
that's the
Yeah.
business side of things, and it's
Right.
it's never going to be pretty on the business
Yeah.
side because it's just a bunch of people making decisions based on money, which I get it. It's a business, but
Right.
sometimes it's not as much fun for the art creator.
Well, I find myself leaning
Yeah.
towards reading self-pub a lot more now than I used to because just being honest, I go to a bookstore now and I'm like, I'm not the target demographic for fantasy anymore because it's
Yeah.
not traditional fantasy anymore.
You like
It's
smut, Mike?
it is very much it is a Sarah J. Maas world, and we're all just living in it. And I mean that's awesome. To me, it's like I never will get up. What are you reading that for? If you're reading, man, it's a TV guide. I'm showing
Yeah.
my age here. If it's a TV guide, I don't care as long as you're reading.
Read that phone
Do they
book that
make
doesn't
the
exist
TV guide
anymore.
anymore?
I don't think they make a TV guide
So
anymore.
I don't make fun of anybody for reading. Like people, I remember a lot of my friends busting on people for reading Twilight. So I was like, dude, they're reading. That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that Romanticy is getting a lot of people to pick up books that never did. I'm just like, but for readers like myself, I'm not interested in that. And I was like, trad publishing seems like it's going away from dragon fantasy and stuff now. So unless it's naked dragon and stuff.
It's off trend is all. I think the trends
Yeah.
will come back around.
Sure, no, they always
It's
do.
like,
Like,
it's a very
moves and trends.
oscillating market, and the thing is, like, there are things that kind of come up in self-publishing, like lit RPG, and then traditional publishers kind of catch on. They're like, oh, we gotta get on this train because it makes just a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
And there are trends where trad publishing feels, or like the market kind of dictates, at least in their eyes, that a certain genre is kind of dying, like dragon fantasy. And then self-pub comes in, and it's like you got Mike Miller, you've got Ryan Cahill, and people who are kind of filling the void that the traditional market deems out of season, I guess you could call it. And eventually it'll come back to be like, oh, dragon fantasy is a big thing.
sure,
in
and you
trad
see
again.
a video on BookTube every day. Is fantasy dying? I'm like, man, they've been
Right.
saying this since I was old enough to read fantasy. And Terry Brooks
Is
came out with
epic
Shannara.
fantasy dead? Epic fantasy is never
It
dead.
always comes back around. I mean,
Yeah.
when the whole paranormal teen romance thing broke out big, it was like, oh, fantasy's dying. It's always the new thing. And
Yeah.
I understand that's what retailers are going to go for. They want to get paid. I get that. But it's like 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have touched a self-pub book because I was ignorant. I've admitted that I was very ignorant to this. I thought, well, that just means you're not good enough to get signed. That's what I thought, And then I started reading. So I was like, oh no, these are actually more of what I want to read, honestly. So
Right.
I've had
I
good
mean,
experience so far.
From my perspective, it's like self-publishing fit me better because what MJ was saying about creativity meeting capitalism, that's been something that I've experienced for years. Like being a tattoo artist, that is like such a direct line of like art to capitalism.
Yeah, I think that the author photo you sent me for this was the first time I saw your ink. That's impressive, man.
Yeah, I mean, like
That's
I have
impressive.
Like, my whole I have like 65 plus tattoos on.
Well, see, I have no muscle tone, like at all, and I'm pasty Irish white.
Fill it
And
up.
it
Fill it
seems
up,
very
bud.
permanent. So I've never done it, but I like to admire
Yeah.
other people's work.
Yeah.
You know.
MJ and I are both tatted up.
Yeah,
but-
you got way more than me. I got like
Yeah,
4.
yeah. But I could do them for free.
See, I think
on
you've got what
myself,
they call a
so.
sleeve, yes?
Yeah, he's got a sleeve. I'm working
Well,
on a
I've got
sleeve.
I've got a Japanese.
I almost got a
like, half
tattoo
sleeve
one
here.
time. I was very into Dark Tower while Dark Tower
Yeah.
was being written, and I was going to get the Ka logo with a rose in it. And then book 6 came out, and I hated it so much. I was like, glad I didn't get that fucking tattoo.
Dude, yes. I love
So, like
that.
I said, it seems very permanent.
But like that's the thing. Like I came from an industry where I understood this like direct line of creativity to capitalism, like project to product, and the permanence of it made me realize like, yeah, dude, when it comes to the Kwisatz Haderach of Gondor, but just to fuck yes. The thing about publishing is like there's so much weight and stress that you can put on yourself, but when it comes down to it, it's like this thing, you putting a book out there the rest of your life for their life, and if it's obviously like once you release it, self-publishing has the benefit where you can kind of update things on the go or like re-release editions and things like that, but there's such like an impermanence to books that I don't really feel a lot of the anxiety that a lot of authors feel. And there's so much sources of anxiety for authors, whether it's like the creative process, whether it's like my books, I'm never going to find an agent. My book's been on submission for like a year. Or if you're on the self-pub side of things, like there's a lot more than people realize going into this.
Well, you want some more anxiety? Check this out.
Yeah.
Papa says he's pitching your book for the 𝕤𝕤𝕣𝕣 book club, but you're only going up against Game of Thrones and Fellowship of the Ring. That's all.
That's it.
We're off the Rams. Don't worry about it.
But I have the benefit of having recorded with Richard and Austin recently. So
they're awesome guys, man.
They know me. They don't know Tolkien. They don't know George.
Even though they're wrong about the first law, I still love those guys to pieces. They're great guys.
But yeah, there's like so much that goes on behind the scenes to make a book that people might not necessarily realize. So there's a lot of opportunity for stress, but I think I've kind of been able to curb a lot of that because I know that it's like a book's a book. It's not like if I tattoo somebody and I fuck that up, that's going to destroy me.
I just don't think I could handle that kind of rejection. I'm like George McFly in that regard. It's like I'll give a comparison here. Okay, like I obviously write, direct, produce my own videos. And then I had to hand it over to somebody. And they told me, you got to change this, this, and this. And I want you to add this to it. I just couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I could be an author.
Like, I feel like that. I mean, well, so whenever I talk to people about like, whether you want to go the trad route or you want to do the indie route, like one piece is control, right? Like when you do go indie, you do have full control over the project and you don't fully in trad. But for me, it's like, I just made sure to have my like list of like deal breakers, right? Where it's like, if they'd asked me to change these things, I would not have signed it. You know what I mean?
No, I remember talking to Nick Eames about this. He dropped an agent because the dude was like, you shouldn't have flying airships in your book. And Nick was like,
bye.
Yeah.
Like
I'll talk to him on the channel twice. He's awesome.
Oh,
yeah, he's great. Yeah.
But like that's deal breakers, man. And I think, I've have friends who've kind of gotten screwed over because they didn't necessarily know what their deal breakers were before they signed a contract. So it's like, if you don't know what your deal breakers are, then how will your agent know what your deal breakers are? And then how will a publisher know? So there are a lot of ways that you can kind of get screwed over in the long run if you don't do your homework up front. And especially for like self-pub authors going down the trad route after like hybrid kind of thing, there's a lot of potential for, I had all this control and now I have to hand over so much of it to the publisher. But there are certain things that you can be like, this is the hill I'm going to die on. And if you don't fight for that, then that can end up burning you in the long run.
And I hear stuff like that. Like I talked to Christopher and he tells me about when he turned in Empire of Silence, and basically they said, it's really good, but we want you to add stuff to make it feel more like Name of the Wind.
No, dude.
Yeah, it's like I don't think I could handle that. Yeah. Here's a question for you, Adrian. What's the strangest tattoo request you've ever received?
Probably. I mean, it was when I was living in Berlin, and Berliners are just very interesting people. I put interesting in quotes. But this one, so like a friend of mine asked me to tattoo her pubic mound. So it's basically just like an inch above her vagina. And I was like, not really.
So it was more of a placement that was strange.
Yes.
Come on, Adrian, be a professional. Be a professional.
Be a professional. Just drop trowel. Let's do this. No, it was like the design that she wanted was like geometric. And I'm like, are you sure you want that on your, like above your vagina for the rest of your life kind of thing? you know.
So you're the good responsible person who's just trying to talk someone out of a mistake that they're going to regret.
No, I do
Instead of
that.
just
That was
taking
like
their money.
that was so much of my career was talking people out of dumb ideas.
Right. Unlimited. Here's the thing with me. I dream job, I think, would be to work for Audible, you know? But here's the thing. I did an independent recording of Dickens' Christmas Carol last year, and it took me like 15 days to read a 90-page book. And I was like, one, I'm too much perfectionist, and two, I will mess my voice up from doing these crazy voices that actually hurt my throat. So it's more about the time that I put into something like that, more so than like not getting paid enough. Trust me,
dude. That is exactly why I decided not to record my audiobook, because I recorded 10 chapters of it. And I was like, shit, I suck.
I hate this.
And I'm going through and I'm re-listening to every line, and I'm like taking out these spaces and these gaps and stuff. I was like, this is too much. So I guess if you work for Audible, you record it and they have someone that professionally edits it, you know, and I get that.
Right. But there's still like a performance element to it that I completely underestimated. And then like I'm going through my audiobook right now. My narrator, Imogen Church, is like, she has a background in theater and movies and television.
No one told me I had to act.
Right. But I hear her and I'm like, God, I suck shit at this. Like, she is so good. And I'm like, I was.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
Congratulations,
man. That's awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Who's reading your book? Whose group was it in?
It was Fantasy Book Critic.
Nice. Outstanding.
Yeah. And now it's out for everybody. I'm looking at you, Philip Chase. He's gonna tear my book apart. No, I'm just kidding.
Philip tried to get me into Judge of a Spiff. I was like, dude, I don't have time. I keep picking up books like this. I don't have time to read anything.
Oh, dude, like I applaud the judges of these competitions.
Oh, so much reading, so fast.
So much reading.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, how do you read so fast? I'm like, have you seen every other booktuber? It's like, I read 19 books this month. I think I read 3 or 4. 3 or 4. That's not fast.
Yeah,
it's
like
faster
I look
than
at
casual. I guess.
I mean, it's faster than most people.
Right. Like I look at Patrick Lee and I'm like, how the fuck do you read so fast?
He's a maniac, man. Just like he got Devils that I was talking about. It took me about a week to read it. He finished this thing like the same day he got it. I was like, you're a maniac, man. I was like,
I feel like he like must have some speed reading trick or something.
I think he just doesn't sleep. That's what I think. I think he's figured out how to cure himself of needing sleep.
I mean, I met him in Glasgow. He was perky all the time. I don't know how he survives. So.
Oh, here we go. I guess you're talking about your tattoo story. Not even a gynecologist.
Not even a gynecologist wants to spend that much time up close with one person. You are right. And there's a thing, like if anytime I ever tattoo somebody's feet or like around their feet, I would tell them, wash your fucking feet, just as a courtesy. Yeah. I don't want to spend. Like,
I was thinking you're talking about like, hey, afterwards to take care of it, make sure it cures correctly. You're like, no, before I set my face down there.
No, it's like I don't want to spend like an hour, 2 hours just like hanging out next to your stanky feet.
So I shouldn't go like just right after the gym and like.
Please don't.
Just show up.
You're a horrible person.
But
if someone showed up and be like, I want you to like tattoo my vagina, it's like, you got a stinky vag. Like,
so are you letting someone else do your audiobook, or are you just not gonna do one?
No. I've got Imogen Church. Is doing my audiobook.
I'd say, nice. Like I know who that is. I don't audiobook. I have no reading ADD, but I have crazy listening ADD. I can't focus on an audiobook.
Oh, really?
So she's done stuff for like Ruth Ware. She does all of Ruth Ware's books. If people are more into like thrillers and that kind of thing, but if you
thing is, I feel like if I know an audiobook narrator's name. Yeah. It's just because they're really popular, because I get all the time, hey, you should listen to the audiobook performance by blank. Like I know who Stephen Pacey is because I love The First Law. You know, I know who Michael Kramer is because I was doing Wheel of Time at the time.
Exactly.
You know, so I know the big ones, I guess. Gerard Reynolds, I hear a lot, and things like. So I've heard some of these names before, but they could walk in my living room. I'd have no idea who they were. I'd be, who are in my house?
But if anyone like is more into self-pub fantasy, like she has done stuff for 𝕤𝕠𝕟𝕣𝕠. I think it's like Rangers of the Titan Wilds is one that she's narrated.
So what was your like geek out moment? Like you got an author to come on your podcast that you were just like, I don't want to say nervous, because I feel like if you're into this, I don't feel like you really get super like starstruck. I think Stephen King probably be one I get starstruck
for.
Got
nervous a couple times.
I've gotten nervous a few times. Okay, first of all, the very first episode we ever recorded, where I was not a podcaster, I was on the podcast when it was just Adrian's show, and he was like, "Hey, I like your vibe. You want to be my co-host?" And I was like, "Fuck it, yeah." So I didn't really know what I was doing.
I mean, it wasn't that's like a very condensed version.
I like telling that version.
Who was the guest author that made you nervous?
Obviously, we had like a call and everything, and MJ wore like a leopard print sweater just to impress me.
That was clearly what happened.
Right.
But no, our first guest that I was on for was Travis Baldry. And I was like, oh my, and then of course, like he's just like the nicest human being that ever lived. But then I was nervous when we had Chuck Wendig on, because Chuck Wendig is like kind of a big piece of my author origin story, because I was a religious reader. I still do read, but his blog, Terrible Minds. And I read that like crazy all throughout my entire like first time through the query trenches trying to find an agent and whatever. And I don't think I would have, like, there was a blog post he wrote where it was like advice for querying authors, and the one piece of advice was harden the fuck up, Care Bear. And I literally, it's great advice. I made it my cell phone background the whole time I was querying, and it's I like literally credit that as part of why I like sucked it up and made it to where I'm at. But like then the biggest one though was when we had Christopher Paolini on. I was like, Adrian, can I tell him that when I was 14, I was definitely planning to marry him? Like, is that something?
Not awkward at all.
Share that? Is that something I can say? And he was like, no. I played it cool. Okay.
I think the closest I came to ever being nervous, and it wasn't because I was nervous to talk, it was Jim Butcher. It wasn't because I was nervous to talk to him. It was, we were 15 minutes into talking, and I would realize that I had not pressed record, and I was so nervous about saying, oh my God, can we please start over? He was so awesome about it. He re-answered all the same questions with the same enthusiasm, maybe more. And he was like, oh, this is great. It felt like that was my first take, and I can get it right this time.
Round.
He was so awesome. He was so awesome. Yeah. That's probably the closest I ever came to really being like
I
nervous about something.
Jim.
He was great. Yeah. He was nice because we had tech issues with him too before we recorded something.
Yeah, it was more like the device that he was using, and then he just like switched to his I think it was like his like
he was like on his phone.
Tablet.
Like,
his
tablet you're very successful. Like, do you think you can move on from this Nokia phone that you're using for your webcam?
His little cabin in the woods.
I listened to you guys' conversation recently, and I was actually quite jealous because I haven't reached out to him, but you had Daniel Abraham and Type for Inc. And I mean, I loved it.
That was such a fun.
That was a very interesting conversation. But that
was probably. I mean, I met Daniel a couple of years ago because I did a one-on-one interview with him. Because he writes his own stuff on the side.
Yeah, I have the Dragon and the Claw, but Dragon on the Coin.
Great series.
Yeah.
And so I'd already met Daniel, so I knew like the kind of rapport that we would have. But I was like, I have no idea what Ty is going to be like. And Ty was like recording in Daniel's garage, so it was really just like immediately, backstage before we start recording, start to develop that rapport, and things just smoothed out super fast. It was like, these guys.
I did still feel like that interview though. That was probably the one I was most nervous for because I felt most like that was an interview with like fancy people and not like just a chat, like chitter chattering, you know what I mean? Right. Like that one I did feel, I mean, they were great. It's not like they were anything, but it was just, I was like,
like after that I was going to reach out to him, but then I was like, no, they might see my Mercy of God's review and tell me to go fuck myself, and I just don't think I can handle that. So
at least they would tell you to fuck yourself in a funny way.
Yeah, I would probably just end up asking him questions about working with George R. R. Martin the whole time anyway, and it would really embarrass myself. So tell me more about George, But
that, like, MJ, what is it? Did you feel like they're kind of part of like a different, I don't know, a different echelon of like the SFF community?
Maybe, but I mean, I can't really like say why. I really don't know why. I think honestly, it's probably just because like people that I know that aren't readers knew who they were. I mean, not who they were, but who James S.A. Corey is. You know what I mean? Even if they didn't know that was co-authors and like they've heard of this author, even if they're not readers. To me, that like, I don't know. I think they were probably the biggest names we've had on. So far.
I mean, I think it's like, probably. I mean, it depends on who you are, really. It's like Christopher Paolini. For some people, he's like mega god. Aragon.
Oh, they probably grew up reading Paolini.
Oh yeah.
you know. But then there are
That was
people who are
me.
like, right. But then there are people who are like, Expanse is my jam, or Dresden Files, or what have you. So I think it's like every year we usually get like two
Like
or
one
three.
or two big names. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, the thing I've had is just if you just reach out to them on social
Mhm.
media, they like I didn't expect Jay Kristoff to respond to me at all, and he's like, "Fuck
Right.
yeah, mate, I'd love to," and I'm like, "Okay." And then Jay is like the coolest guy in the world, you know, and it's just like I just want to like hang out and drink beer with this guy, you know, he's
Right.
amazing. But I've
I
had
just
a
want
lot
to
of
listen
success.
to his Australian accent all day.
Yeah, no
Smooth.
kidding, no kidding. The thing with me is the only ones I really haven't ever gotten a response were just like mega huge ones, like Robin Hobb
Right.
didn't respond. You know, I don't know
I
if she
mean,
even saw
actually,
it.
I think Robin Hobb
I've
does interviews.
No,
really.
I've-
Like, I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
if
what I
it's
say.
I've
Like some of
spoken to
those
her-
boomers are like, "No, we're gonna write over snail mail, but we're not gonna come on
right.
your channel."
Cold,
Robin,
honestly.
I've talked to her over email, and the thing is, it's like it's not that she's not interested in doing this stuff. She just lives out in like the boonies
Yeah,
and has a really bad internet connection.
sure.
And so she's like, yeah, you know, I'm not gonna move. Yeah. So,
fair.
but I feel like if you want to do like a text Q&A with Robin Hobb, that
Yeah.
might be more doable.
That'll
Or
work.
like, can we have a phone conversation?
R.A.
Yeah, it doesn't have to
Salvatore,
be-
that's kind of a big one that said that came on the channel. He was really nice.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. My sister would like cry of joy that she's
I
like,
had
she
more
loves R.A.
people
Salvatore.
that have never watched my channel that watched that interview that were authors and they were just looking for like writing advice because I mean that guy he puts out a book and it's bestseller before it
Well,
even
he's got
released.
like 7 shelves of books and they're
Yeah.
all at my sister's house.
Yeah. That's why I felt like a fraud because it's like I've only read like your Star Wars books and like 3 Driss books so far, so I feel like a fraud, you know. But he was really, really awesome.
Which
but that's
3
the
Driss
thing.
books? Icewind Dale. That's the
I
correct-
had done the Dark Elf and Icewind Dale before we spoke, but when I asked him, I'd only read Dark Elf, but I'd read 3 more, and I'm actually in Legacy of the Drow right now. I think that's such a fun series, man. I love Driss. I got the whole like Funko of Guinevere and all that, and the T-shirt of Guinevere and stuff.
Oh my
Guinevere's
god, yes.
one of
I
my
love it.
favorite like animal companions in all of fantasy, and I'm like, I know I'm like 30 years late to this, guys, but I love it. It's so fun.
No
I
such
enjoy
thing as
Driss.
late to the party.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
Never
think
too late.
Driss is so great because you don't have to get into like this huge massive work. You can just dive in, man. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. You've been reading these complex, overly convoluted 900-page fantasy books. You can get the Driss with no problem, man. It's
Yeah.
great. You don't even have to play D&D. You know, it's awesome.
No, that's to say when I read it, I honestly didn't really even fully understand Forgotten Realms as like you know what I mean? I read it
Mhm.
years and years ago for the first time. And no, you totally just jump right in.
No, but
So-
that like MJ and I just did a thing on writing for IP
Mm-hmm.
that'll come out next week.
Oh, look at this. Someone's
thanks
looking
a
you
lot,
up and they
Steve.
realize they already had your book and want to read. So, all right.
It's
You
like,
have great
don't read it,
taste,
yeah.
whoever
Thank
you are.
for this take.
Oh yeah, no, I tried to get Pierce Brown the channel
yeah.
forever. Right when I like seriously, I had maybe like 50 subscribers when I met him at a book signing, and I just asked him, he's like, "Yeah, man, hit me up. I'll come and talk to you anytime you want to." But he's also the type that when he's writing, he gets off social media. So I actually had to wait for him for 4 years also during the virus shall not be named during that time where he basically took 200 pages of manuscript and threw it in the trash because he was unsatisfied with it. So basically he wasn't on social media for 4 years. So I had to wait 4 years for him to be like, yeah, man, let's make it happen. But it was really,
It's
really
a
awesome.
patience game. Like,
Yeah.
you know, my absolute dream interview, I have 2. It's like one would be Jeff Vandermeer and the other would be William Gibson. William Gibson, I feel like would be.
Is that Neuromancer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he would be much, much more difficult. Although my ex-girlfriend knows him because she worked at a coffee shop in Vancouver and he was like a frequent customer at this coffee shop. And so they developed a rapport. And then she realized like, oh, this is this author and he writes these books. And then she told me and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is literally my favorite author of all time.
You're like, okay, so I'm gonna come and
Yeah.
camp out at your coffee shop every
I'm gonna
day.
be there. I'm gonna be there every day when you open up. And I'm
Like,
just gonna
look, I'm
sit in the
such a
corner.
supportive
Yeah,
boyfriend.
this is Lurk. No, this was after we broke up that she told me this.
Dang. She was
so-
just twisting that knife
yeah,
then.
she's fucking. Oh, you know,
Right? I was
random
like,
fact to drop it.
okay.
Okay.
It's like, how can I hurt you? Okay.
But then like Jeff Vandermeer, I feel like is much more doable.
What would I know of Jeff Vandermeer?
Annihilation.
Annihilation's
is his
probably
big
a big
one.
one.
I saw the
Yeah.
movie and I didn't really care for the movie, so I decided not to read the book.
The
but,
movie is very loose adaptation
Yeah,
of the book.
it usually is. You know,
Right.
But yeah, his books are just such a
You
big
know,
inspiration.
I
for me, so I'm
have
like,
I
man,
have
just-
Neuromancer right there. I've never actually read it. I've always wanted to, and I think Apple TV's making an adaptation of it. So I said I'll make sure I read it before that adaptation comes
Ooh,
out.
Apple TV tends to do like a pretty
Yeah,
good
their
job
sci-fi stuff
too.
is
Yeah.
top notch.
But there was I think Amazon. I think it was Amazon did an adaptation of his book, The Peripheral, and I watched the first season and loved it.
Oh,
And
okay, it's
then-
actually good. I
and
was like,
then-
Amazon
and then-
adaptations.
No, but then I posted about it on social media, and then someone was like, "Oh, did you know that it got canceled?" And I was like, "Fuck me!" Like I watched the whole first season, and then it's like they discontinued it. Like this is bullshit.
That's like it was like I didn't want to make my wife watch Firefly. It's like that's just cruel. I don't want to do that.
Right.
To you.
Literally, oh my god, I was so mad when I got encouraged to watch Firefly because I'd never seen it, and it was kind of like a shame thing that I'd never seen it. Like, oh,
Right.
I've never watched Firefly, and then I watched it, and I was like, why did you do this to me?
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's not real, but I remember you used to see like tweets being like, "Yo, where's the second season of Firefly? Netflix hasn't uploaded it yet." I'm like, poor bastard.
Yeah. Oh my god. Greg's asking about the new Dune show. I want to watch it, but I've heard very mixed things.
Oh, really?
Um,
Well, all
I
right,
haven't heard anything about it yet.
all right, here we go. Because everybody's like shocked that I'm not watching this. They want to know why. So I'll go ahead and tell you guys. This is all based off the stuff that Frank's shitty kid wrote for a cash grab and ruin, like all the mythology and the
God.
lore. So no, I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. And I'm pretty sure that this series is what legendary Warner Brothers threw Ryan Herbert on the behest of Denny V to keep him off of Denny V's movie set. I really believe this.
Oh,
Yes, I have
interesting.
very strong opinions about
Yo,
that.
Mike's
because,
got beef.
as
with
you might
Ryan
know,
Herbert.
Dune is
Tell
very
me how you
much
really feel, man.
my religion. And so when you guys, people are like, I think Jonathan Cohn was like, why are you so pissed about this? It's like, dude, imagine if they take something that you hold sacred and they just take a giant shit on it. And people are like, why don't you like it? That's why. That's why.
why.
Hey, as always, if you guys are enjoying it,
Yeah.
I want
I mean,
people to
we got
enjoy
some
it. Live your
comments.
dreams.
I really
That's-
liked Dune TV. Greg said it was good. So,
also, I hope people do like
to
it.
each
You're
their
not
own.
too close to it.
yeah.
You're not too close. with
One
it.
person's one person's glistening turd is another person's
That-
diamond.
That's
What
right. That's right. That's right.
I'm gonna check it out at least.
My blood
I'm gonna check
pressure
it out.
does spike a little bit whenever I talk about it. But you
Yeah.
know.
I'm gonna check it out at least. Like I love Dune so much. And actually like one of my favorite reading experiences in my entire life was reading Dune while I was on a month-long bike trip in Italy. And my friends and I just like bought a bunch of mushrooms and shipped them to our friend in Positano and then flew down there with our bikes and we just cycled around and slept on beaches for a month. And I was reading Dune during that entire time, feeling like I was having like my own like spice trips, and at the same time like being in this kind of semi-arid sort of desert environment. And there were multiple occasions where we're like, "Fuck, we don't have enough water." And then I was reading Dune, and I was like, "God damn, I'm so thirsty."
Yeah, you got to reserve your water, man. What are you doing? Yeah.
You were just
Oh.
fully immersed.
Yeah, no, like I need like a still suit. This is bullshit.
So this is one of those things. Like, look, full transparency here. Never done a drug in my life. I haven't. Got the Irish blood. We drank. We didn't really do drugs. But here's the thing. It's like I loved Pink Floyd, and people are like, "Oh, have you ever done Pink Floyd on drugs?" And I'm like, No.
Don't even
there's
need it.
apparently, if you read Dune while you're really tripping on shit, it's a whole new effect.
Oh
So,
yeah.
hey, how
Oh
about
yeah.
that?
Yeah, man.
So,
Like,
so
read
Mushroom
Dune while you're-
Blues wasn't just a fancy name, huh? You have experience.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I've been very candid about that in like pretty much every interview I've done.
I
If
thought
anyone
maybe you just
asks
were a
me-
hobbit and you just loved mushrooms, So
No, it's like a combination. Like I'm part Pippin, and like on the other hand, it's like kind of
my kids make fun of 'cause my wife's the only one in the house that eats mushrooms, and every time we're like, walking, we go family walks, and you'll see like some mushrooms growing in the grass. And I'm like, "Hey, mom, hobbit, you want some mushrooms?" Ha ha. It's just never gone away. So now every time they see a mushroom, it's
And deep down in your wife's
Oh.
soul, she's just like mushrooms.
I was
Yeah,
just
pretty
gonna
much.
say you gotta say it in the voice.
ah,
Come on.
shortcut.
But yeah, Dune is amazing. I will check out that show. Nicholas wants me to write an autobiography. Maybe one day. Yeah. I'll just call it mushroom.
An
I'll call it
autobiography. I was
mushroom
like, that'd
blues,
be
too.
really boring if I wrote an autobiography. I'm like, it's just like the most boring life, and that's why I'm still stunned that anyone gives a shit what I'm reading. It's amazing to me because I spent 30 years trying to get anybody to listen to what I was talking about when I was talking about what books I was reading. Like, oh, I don't read your stupid fairy shit, Mike. That's what they used to say. You know, like go see Lord of the Rings movies. Oh, I don't like your stupid fairy shit, Mike. So I made them go, and they're like, well, this is actually pretty good. I'm like, see,
You're like, I know.
Yeah.
I was sweating. I was like, shit. I hope they don't add fairies or some crazy shit to this movie.
Oh my gosh. Okay, actually, funny story about the Lord of the Rings movies. So my brother-in-law, so my sister's husband, his dad was like not very into the movies, but was taking him and his brother, right, to go because they were kids. And he was ranting before they went to see the second one in theaters, like, oh, I'm so excited to go see this movie with the elves and the magic and the talking Christmas trees. And he's just being like, he's just kidding. And then when the Ents actually showed up in the second movie, he was like, talking Christmas trees.
He's like, fuck this. They talk so slow.
Oh wait, he didn't know that there was Ents in it. He said it. Like, oh my god,
He was just like making shit up.
I love it.
And then they were actually talking Christmas trees.
holy crap! I thought they like saw the preview or something.
Nope.
Oh my god.
Nope.
Yo,
Oh.
MJ, that would be like the coolest Christmas ever. Just like hanging some lights on an ant and just
And
hang out.
Treebeard.
Oh, fuck
vibing.
yeah.
I love it.
We vibing. Christmas would take so long, but I would not care at all.
You know, I
That would be
try to think
beautiful.
if I will ever have the same visceral experience in movie theater. Because I mean, I've read Lord of the Rings so
Yeah.
many times before I saw the movie, and I remember Fellowship of the Ring. I was because a year before that movie came out, Dungeons and Dragons came out, and it was dog shit, and it completely killed my enthusiasm.
I'm
for it. I
glad
was like,
that
they
I
just
never
can't. They
saw
can't
that.
make a fantasy movie. So I'm actually in the theater. And like, it's fine. I'm waiting for the second half to just completely shit the bed. And once it got to Gandalf fighting the battle, I'm just like crying. I'm just like, I can't believe they've done this. They actually pulled this off. I don't think I'll ever have that experience in a theater again because I don't think there's any source material. I mean, if Dune couldn't get that out of me, I was like, I don't think there's
Right.
anything that can get that kind of experience out of me again. I don't know. Maybe I have to set Peter Jackson set the bar too high.
Yeah.
You know, It's just-
Right?
No, but that's the thing. It's like I look back on that so fondly because
Okay.
that was those were probably like my most memorable movie experiences as well. Because I remember like I didn't see the Fellowship of the Ring in theaters.
No, I didn't either.
Um,
That's
I
too
Boo
bad.
this man.
I got-
Boo him.
I got-
Shame. Shame.
Whatever, man.
We
I
were,
was-
we're,
wait,
we're
shush,
spring
shush, shush.
chickens,
I
Mike.
was-
We
I
were just
was
little
10.
children.
Right. I was
was
gonna say, wait a
fucking
second. These
10, Mike.
Lord of the Rings was probably Star Wars for you guys, huh? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I was 10 when the Fellowship of the Ring came out. In
Oh, I
theaters.
was older.
I know. But I was at the grocery store with my mom, and they had like their electronics section. And I was just wandering around, and I saw Fellowship of the Ring in VHS, and I'd read The Hobbit, and I'd read The Lord of the Rings, or tried to read The Lord of the Rings at that point because I was just 10. Maybe First Law. Who knows? Brad Pitt as Glockta. That would be.
I was literally just going to say,
Holy
who
shit.
would we cast as
That's all
Oh
Glockta?
my God.
about first
Not
Law,
Brad Pitt.
when everybody's doing their fan casting, and they always say like Jason Momoa or something for Bloody Nine. I'm like, have you read the book? He's ugly as shit. Jason Momoa is not ugly as shit. I mean, hello.
Right.
So,
But yeah, so I got the VHS. I just like begged my mom to get it, and then I had to sit through like an hour in the car, just reading the fucking box, like a VHS box, like reading the synopsis like 1,000 times, and then after watching that movie probably 100 times over the course of a year, then I got to see The Two Towers in theaters.
so that's awesome.
And my older brother took me to the midnight screening, and didn't tell my parents until we already left. And I got back at like 3 a.m., but that was like the happiest night of my life. And then I did
remember
it
going
again
to
for the
midnight
Return of the King.
showing of Return of the King. It's over at 4 a.m, and I went to work at 5:30. That's how I was not going to
Beautiful.
miss that midnight showing. I
Yes.
didn't care if I had to work. It was a lot of coffee that day, but it was worth it. But it's almost the point where I almost think of those as Christmas movies, because for 3 years straight they came
Yeah.
out, the week before Christmas or something like that. And just,
Also, like this time of year, I just want to cozy up and watch them. So,
Oh, I
you
can't
know.
wait to do that with my boys though. My
extended
wife is like,
edition, right?
y'all can do
Oh,
whatever the fuck you want, but I'm like, yo, we're gonna sit hunker down for
Extended
like 10
editions
hours.
of the first
12
and
hours
the
if we do
second,
extended.
maybe theatrical cut of the third. Is that a hot take? I don't love the theatrical or the extended.
There are
of the
certain
third.
parts of the.
What don't
of
you
the
like?
Return
Is
of the
it
King.
Gimli's over the top humor that they
Or is it like
So-
the crap? I can't remember like the
where
road
they
that
effed up
Aragorn goes.
Saruman? Yeah.
So there's okay. So I don't love the mouth of Sauron part. I don't love how that played
Okay.
on screen in the extended, and I also really prefer the kind of cliffhanger part where it leaves it at Aragorn going, "What say you?" and then they show up on the ship later.
Right. Yeah,
I love that being the cliffhanger. I
right,
don't
that
I
love.
agree with that one.
that is like it
Mhm.
completely like takes away the tension of like
Yeah,
what
and
happened
that's-
to Aragorn.
Right.
Speaking
Yeah.
of that, I think my one biggest criticism of all those movies is I remember when I was reading the books for the first time as a kid and I read Two Towers, you were convinced Frodo was dead. He was dead. It was like, holy shit, can't believe he did this. And in the movie, it's like within 3 minutes, oh, he's not dead. I thought they could have really just.
But then Sam
really
has
just
his
twisted the dagger.
triumphant moment where he charges up the tower, and
I mean, no, it's great. That was the only thing like literally that I would have changed. But I can see what you mean.
that's
There's
because
some
in the-
things in
but
the
that's
extended
because in the
editions where I'm
books-
like, that was better on the cutting room
right. But
floor,
that's
probably.
because they changed the endings, so they like rearranged it. So in the Two Towers book, it ends on
Yeah,
on
Frodo
getting
and
fucked
Shelob,
up by
yeah.
Shelob.
Well,
No, I
and,
was fine with them moving it to the third movie. I just wish they'd have let it twist a little longer that
Mhm.
Frodo was dead.
Even if they like completely like went to like cut to another scene, other characters doing other stuff for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then come back to Frodo, that might have helped.
I think so. Yeah. I'm sure some fan edit out there has probably done that. Because it's like we'll never get anything even close to that good of an adaptation again. I mean, hey, just look at Wheel of Time, So it's.
I mean, just look at The Hobbit.
I'll take it exactly. I was like, Peter
dumpster
Jackson couldn't
fire
even
of a
do it
trilogy.
again.
Yeah.
So
well, that's because
Oof.
they went for the money grab.
No, that's
let's
because
be
he
real.
didn't want to do it again.
If
Yeah.
they would have just done the
he
Hobbit
backed into it. Yeah.
in one film and done it honestly in the vein, it kind of had the spirit of the book in the first of that Hobbit trilogy,
Mhm.
and then they went too dark with it. The Hobbit was just not that dark of a book, and they tried to take it into like crazy.
You know
That's
what-
like they're taking Wheel of
what killed
Time and
me?
being like, oh, we've got to. This is a post Game of Thrones world. We got to make it. Dude, they tried to make Avatar: The Last
Right.
Airbender like all Game of Thronesy. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Ugh.
I didn't even watch.
that's the thing
Honestly,
is,
like I didn't watch any of. I have not seen
I
any
haven't
of the.
I haven't watched Avatar. Like that for me is like that would be like my blood boiling in the way you are about Dune Prophecy. That to me is like you don't fuck with Avatar: The Last.
I
Airbender.
watched Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time this year, and
the animated
the
show.
animated one. Yeah,
Oh, I
and-
remember you live tweeting about that. Actually, now that I think about
blew
it,
me away. I didn't think anything could ever top Batman the Animated Series for me, but it did it. And it was one of those things where I full on thought it was just everybody just like, it's just shit you guys were nostalgic for back then. That is some of the best character writing I have ever seen on any medium. It was amazing. I'm sad that it was only 3 seasons, but it's better to burn out than fade away, right? But that's something I'll watch again and again and again.
Did you watch Korra?
I did not watch Korra just because everybody said it was terrible.
Watch
it's
season 1. Season
terrible.
1 is good.
Yeah.
Season 2, wait, let me remember. It's been a while since I've watched it. Season 1 is good. Season 2 is very, very bad. Season 3 is
It's decent.
meh. And season 4 is okay. But season
I knew
1,
that Avatar was
watch that
special.
in a bottle. It's good.
I knew it was special when people were telling me, "Oh, this and this are like the worst episodes of the whole series." I'm like, "Huh? I enjoyed it, so shit,
Right.
awesome, yeah."
Yeah.
No,
But it's
great.
like
I'm still
you
mad
look at
about the
that-
space sword. I'm still mad about the space sword, but I've learned to let go a little bit, and
Yeah.
the weird like turtle MacGuffin thing at the end of the Deus Ex Machina, like okay,
Yeah.
but again, outside of that, I was like, that's damn near a perfect series.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone wants like deep dives about Avatar, go watch Tim Hickson's channel, Hello Future Me. He's got so many deep dives into Avatar's like character development and character.
I think I
arcs
watched
and
some of his
world
stuff
building.
when he was the lead up to the live action series coming out, and his like cautious optimism. I haven't checked back to see how he felt. It wasn't terrible. It's just it was like while you're watching Avatar, it's serious, but you have fun. You have a good time. I never felt like
But that-
any of the characters were having fun besides Sokka, because
But that's
Sokka
like
always
the
gonna have fun.
grim darkification of so much shit.
Yeah,
just
watch
because
Wheel
like,
of Time. Yeah.
yeah, but there are certain things that it's like it works for it to be dark, like tonally. Like Batman should be tonally within that realm. Wheel of Time, no. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Well, I would
Fuck
also
no.
just argue I really hate that we keep making live action adaptations of animated stuff
Yeah.
because I feel like it suggests that animated stuff is like a lesser form and we need
Or
to
it's for
like
kids.
update it. Yes. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
animation is an art form in its own right. And sometimes it's the right medium to tell a certain story.
As I said today, as I watched
yeah.
the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon, I was like, nobody asked for this, but hey, it looks neat.
They're making
It
a
does
How to
look
Train
neat.
Your
It looks
Dragon
like
live
shot
action
for
movie.
shot. Like
Here's the thing
freaking
that I
animated
was
one.
concerned about,
No, I
and
didn't
I
know
think
that they're making this. This is
I think maybe they learned their lesson with
small.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Is I was scared. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna make Toothless look like a real dragon or something? Nope, he looks exactly
He
like
just looks
him.
like Toothless. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, that's great, but yeah, it does.
Okay.
He has the whole thing where he holds the hand out and Toothless puts his head in his hand.
Uh-huh.
It looks pretty shot on shot.
Huh.
I asked my kid because that's his Lord of the Rings is How to Train Your Dragon. So I asked him what he thought. He thinks it looks cool, but he's kind of like me, where he's just like, I don't know
That's
if they really needed to
unnecessary.
make it, but
Right.
neat. Yeah.
Because that movie, the original movie is like not even 10 years old, is it?
Oh, honey.
Or like
yeah,
15
it
years
is.
old?
You're like
I
me
remember
sometimes when I'm like,
watching it
I
my
don't know.
freshman year of college, Adrian.
Adrian, you sound like me when I'm like, the 1990s weren't that long ago, were they?
It's kind of old.
Just like put on my old man voice.
The
not
1990s
even
were like
15
15 years
years
ago,
old.
right?
It's like 15 years old, Adrian.
Okay, but
yeah.
that like I feel like 15 is unjustified for like remake territory. Same with the Avatar. It's like it's not that old. You
Yeah.
don't need to remake it.
Well, I'm
you
sorry.
know.
We have 3 Spider-Men in the last like decade, so
Yeah, but superhero fucking
Dude, you
whatever.
want to talk about
Superhero shit is
superhero
tough.
fatigue? I whole life huge DC Marvel comic book nerd. Begged for these things to be made. Now I'm begging, please stop.
Not
Please stop.
necessarily stop, just slow down.
I haven't
you
seen
know?
a single Marvel anything since Endgame.
Endgame, I said, was
Yeah.
like, look, for me, it's like if it's Batman, Superman, or Spider-Man, I'll watch it always. That's like my thing. I'll always watch it. So I was like, MCU's done, but I'll watch Spider-Man. You know, why not? Didn't really care for 2, but I liked 3. But it wasn't until Deadpool and Wolverine. That's just because my wife really wanted to watch it, and I was like, yeah, I'll want to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again. Outside of that, I was like,
Was that good? I didn't see it, but
what, Deadpool Wolverine? I
Yeah.
mean,
It was
if
it
you
was
like a lot of crass
yeah.
humor, yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Well, I mean, it's Deadpool.
exactly-
I've seen the first 2 Deadpool movies. So, and
it was
enjoyed them,
exactly
so.
what you'd expect.
Yeah. It's
of
worth your time, I think. But it's
Yeah.
just if I don't want to see these things anymore, it's just like, man.
You're like, who does?
At the time, I was like, yeah, give me all of it. Give me all. Like everybody always felt like they had to like pick a side. So I was like, I don't care about that shit. I was like, I wanted to see this stuff since I was a kid. Bring it all on. Now I'm just like, please stop. Please, you're just ruining the legacy.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I don't even know if I want to like introduce my kids to that stuff.
It's funny because we actually watched
I'll
the
like
first.
basically
watched
like
the-
I'll give you guys like up to Endgame and
Yeah,
after that
or
it's
just
your choice.
cherry pick. Pick out
Yeah.
the key things.
We did like a when we did have Disney Plus. We kind of were doing like a loose rewatch, and we just picked like the ones we wanted to watch again. But really, all we do now, so is we watch Guardians of the Galaxy like nonstop, like all the time. That's like my kids' Star Wars, really, and Thor Ragnarok. They watch that one a lot. But we just watched the Avengers the other night. I was like, that's still fun, you know.
Mhm.
Tony being a smartass, I dig that stuff. But yeah, I knew at the time when it happened, I was like, Endgame isn't just a clever name. This is it. This is it. It's not going to go up from here. It's going down from here. It's like
No, but that's like such a such a unknown like storytelling prediction that these writers were like, here's our end game, and this whole arc that we spent like 10 years putting together is going to end here. And then after that, you see like, oh yeah, you guys really didn't know what the fuck you wanted to do after that because it's just a disjointed mess.
Cooper, they broke my heart so many times. I can't. What they did to my precious Green Lantern Corps last time they attempted it, it just.
Wait, who was Ryan Reynolds was Green Lantern at some point? Oh god.
I was devastated by that, man, because I had been waiting for a Lantern movie for a while, and that's what they gave me. I was just, I love Green Lantern Corps, man. At the time, my podcast was called Geek Media Corps because I loved the Green Lantern Corps so much. So yeah, it's like I'd rather them just not make it than make it just terrible. You know,
Yeah.
that's just where I am now. So
Yeah.
That's fair.
I want to see like more good superhero sci-fi and fantasy books, you know? Like JCM Byrne has a great series. I can't remember the name of the series.
was
but,
that Wishful Ascending?
Yeah.
No, I think it's like Wistful Ascending, like Hybrid Helix, I think is the series name. But that's like great superhero sci-fi, like space opera kind of vibes. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's get more of that, you know? Let's get more books that actually make superheroes fun again. Because I feel like
Green
just not
Lantern
fun
dorks got to stick together. All right.
Yeah. That's a genre that I'm like, yeah, I'm burnt out of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was a time I was all gung ho about it. I was even watching like the Arrowverse stuff on CW. I was all into it. Now I'm just like, I could not stand to watch another minute of this stuff. Like, I don't even go see these movies I waited for forever. And I waited for a Dark Tower movie forever and still haven't watched it. You know, because it's like, you're just going to take a shit on the story I love. No, thank you.
Hey man,
you know?
the series itself took a shit on itself at some point.
Well, I mean,
you almost got the tattoo.
I still hate Book 6, but I think overall, I still think it's still like a top 5 fantasy series for me. But
yeah.
God, what a missed opportunity. But, you know, some people say that Stephen King has this thing with endings, you know, who knows? I guess I kind of leave that up to you.
When you interview him, you can bring that up.
I don't know. He like left Twitter now, so I don't think that he would actually be doing like video interviews or something. I think he might be done with like technology for a while. I don't know.
Yeah, you can go find him over on Blue Sky or wherever the fuck.
Everybody's at. Are you gonna get on Blue Sky? I think no, man. I've got enough social media. I don't need anything else. God.
Too many platforms now. I know, and it's all like dividing. I feel like half the people I know went to Blue Sky.
Well, everybody's like, "Oh, Twitter's like this shit." I'm like, dude, Twitter's what you make it. You look at my feed, man. It is books and sports and finance because I work in finance. I know that's probably boring as shit to everybody else, but I'm saying, just don't ever go to the For You tab, and I'm fine.
Yeah, I will say though, I get a lot of comments from porn bots that I did not used to get.
Sure. You didn't encourage this at all, did you?
Come on,
you don't know my game.
No, I'm not doing Threads. I'm not doing Blue Sky. Hell, I had like 12,000 subscribers before I finally broke down and made a Discord, you know? So it's no, it's like all the reason I have Facebook is so my parents can see pictures of the kids, you know, so I have to send them every picture that I ever take to them.
Yeah.
And the other reason I have Instagram really is just, you know, as a marketing tool, and Twitter, because I like to talk about books, I like to talk about sports, and I piss off people who don't like sports. I piss off people that don't like books with my Twitter account. So it's just like, you know, it is what it is.
No, but all of it is what you make of it. Like my Twitter's never been bad because I only interact with the people that I want to interact with.
Bro,
and
I had TikTok for like 3 months. I was like, dude, I would open up TikTok and I would immediately become my parents. I'm like, this is too loud. This is annoying. This is stupid. I'm like, oh my God, I have finally become my parents. And I was like, that's just not for me. It's not. And people were like, you know, maybe they could use, you know, someone just chill over there like you. And I was like, that is not my medium. No, it is not it.
No,
So.
well, and it sucks because I built like the biggest platform I have on any social media on TikTok. I have like 40,000 followers over there, and I do absolutely jack shit with it because it's just it's so much work to like film stuff, and then
I don't dance, I don't do
skits,
I don't do crazy backgrounds and shit. I just
MJ's like, there are no porn bots on TikTok. I mean? Go away.
So I wish I enjoyed it. It would be great.
Yeah,
but
no, but it's like there's already so much time, like so little time that we have in the day. And it's like, I don't want to spend, like, I talked to Andy Pelican about this, and I'm like, he's doing his thing. Like, I love that guy. And he's like doing his thing on Instagram Reels and TikTok and all that stuff. And I'm like, how much time does it take you to edit a video? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know, 30 minutes to an hour. I can't waste that time. Just
well, here's the thing. It's the advice that I give, like, any person that, like, whatever is new to the author space. When they're asking about how much time you should spend on social media, how much time you should be promoting your shit on social media. And it's like, does it move the needle? Probably to an extent, and you should be present somewhere. But like ultimately just do what you want to do. Like if you're not enjoying it, it's not going to move the needle enough probably for it to be worth torturing yourself.
If you're not enjoying it, that's going to be
doom
scrolling TikTok. But it's like, if you're not enjoying it, then that defeats the whole purpose of it.
I remember hearing people be like, the reason I moved to TikTok instead of YouTube is because I don't want to waste that much time watching videos. And so I only watch TikTok because it's only 60 seconds. Like, but you watch 50 of them.
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, though,
how is that different?
I don't do that with TikTok videos, but like I definitely do it. That's why I like books with short chapters. That's why I like TV shows over movies, because if I can like bite-size it, I'll be like, oh, I can just do one more chapter that's 6 more
Right.
pages. But if I look and the next chapter's
I
like
think that. But I
26
just read a
pages.
John Gwynn book. He writes the 6 to 8 page chapters in it. Hey, one more,
Yup.
one more.
It's like
Oh,
it's like
it's
the
3
little
a.m. I got to go to
bite-sized
work.
mini muffins of chapters. And
But,
then
but
I've eaten more than a regular muffin by the end.
Right.
I've read 12
It's like when
chapters.
someone goes to a wedding, they're like, "I'll just have a half piece of cake," and then they come up and get another half piece of cake. It's like, why don't you just get the piece of cake?
right.
Well, because when you
'Cause
cut
I'm
it in half,
dieting,
the
Mike.
calories fall out.
Yeah.
Mike. This is just how it
Yes.
works. Yeah.
I'm trying to lose weight. Don't fucking judge me.
No,
but I
twice
think
the steps, going up there twice.
yeah, right. Just walking off this half cake.
So, do either of you guys, when you guys are writing, do you guys read, or you one of those who like shut off reading while you're doing your own writing because you don't
No,
want
I
to read?
I can't stop reading.
I
Okay,
can't stop
good.
reading.
Yeah.
I've heard of people that like have to read a different genre from what they're writing while they're writing.
I find it helps me to read the same
Yeah.
genre. That
I
I'm
have to
in.
do the other, right? So like
Yeah.
I'm writing a horror book right now, so I'm reading all weird shit. Also I just like weird shit. But
MJ's having her weird bitch winter is what we
I'm
call
having
it.
a weird bitch winter. I just
Yeah.
had Goth Girl Summer.
Yeah.
So really we're just naming all of the seasons after me reading
Right.
my dark weird shit
Yeah.
now.
MJ just
Um,
lurking in her cave. Yeah.
Cave, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I have to read. Well, I can't not read, period, though. Like I'll get
Yeah.
sad if I'm not reading anything.
I only
Yeah.
took a break when it was like launch of Mushroom Blues, because I was like, there's just too much shit going on. I was like doing interviews and live streams, and then launching the book, and like dealing with Amazon KDP stuff and Ingram Spark stuff and all this different just mess happening at the same time. And I was like, I just didn't have the mental bandwidth to handle. I didn't watch any TV. I didn't watch any movies. I didn't read any books, because I was just like creatively like a fucking blob for a good 2-3 weeks. But that was pretty much it.
See, I just don't. People ask me, how do you find so much time to read? I'm like, well, don't doom scroll your phone. That there's 2-3 hours that you're probably wasting per day, right there. And I don't watch a shit ton of TV,
Yeah.
So it's just like,
Well, so I moved 2
when you're
years
doing those things,
ago,
that's what I'm doing. I'm reading. Yeah.
and I didn't have a TV that I moved with me at the time. And I was like, oh, I'll just buy a TV. Like I'll look for a sale and I'll buy one. And it's almost 2 years later, and I still don't own a television. And I just
So are you
haven't missed it.
Amish or?
I know, but that's the thing. It's like I feel like I sound like one of those
She's
like
got
I-
dual
Were you
screens
churning
for
some butter
everyone.
before you
That's
came?
like I sound so wanky when I say that I don't have TV, but it's like I watch stuff. I just purposely watch it, and I like have to sit here and watch it on my
No, but the
computer
thing is,
if I do.
like I don't
But-
necessarily watch stuff exclusively
I just
on my
don't put it
TV.
on.
Like
so I
I
just don't have one.
I watch I watch TV shows or whatever, like piecemeal, while I'm doing the dishes or something at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do the thing where I work from
So-
home twice a week, and I'll make sure if it's some busy work that's just kind of brain dead stuff, I'll put on a Netflix documentary or something, and that's
Yeah.
I call that watching TV, which means I'm listening to it basically.
Yeah.
I'm educated.
Company. It's just around while you're
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
But that's the same thing about like watching stuff on YouTube. Like I'm all about like I will watch like a 3-hour YouTube video over the course of like 5 days.
Oh
And I'm
yeah,
happy
yeah, I'll
about
do that. Definitely do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But
Mm.
I don't know. Like I think it's just about dividing up your time in ways that you feel are productive or useful for what you want to do. Like if you want to be a writer, you probably can't. What is all your furniture pointed at? A fucking window or something.
I was to say that's my only furniture right there, and it's just kind of pointed at I don't know
At
this wall.
yeah. But it's like if you want to be a writer, you have to kind of decide for yourself like how much time can I dedicate to X, Y, and Z. It's like if you're watching a TV show every single night, maybe that's like an hour of your night that you could be spending writing. Or if you're doom scrolling every fucking day for like
Well,
2
what John's
hours.
saying here, I agree with.
Yeah.
It's like I'm seeing people talking about like, oh, I got to get off social media because it's really affecting me. Yeah, take a
Right.
break. I unplug every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's sometimes we need to do that, and I feel like some people it's just an addiction at this point. I mean, like, let's look at it for example, like when I just went to work the other day, and I'm like, people can't go from floor 1 to 2 without getting up their phone to look at it
Yeah.
on the elevator. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's past an addiction at this point. It's just part of your hand.
Do you remember the days? Like, I feel like I'm old again saying something. Do you remember the days?
Oh, I'm sure I've got some of these stories. Sure, yeah.
Do you remember the days when you were just bored as shit waiting for stuff? Waiting in line or like waiting on an elevator or.
I was thinking that we
whatever.
we went on a cruise, and that was when I first realized, hey, I can just take my Kindle. My Kindle was small to fit in my pocket, and I can just read it no matter where I'm at. It's awesome. And I was like, so what did I do when I used to just sit here with my hands in my pockets and just like look around?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Or
wild.
just like whip out a paperback in the grocery line.
See, but you guys don't remember what life was like before the internet, where we just used our imagination and shit. It was
I
wild.
do.
I
MJ and I were like the last. We were like the
I was gonna
last
say, I was
gasping
like,
breath of that.
I think I was like 9 or 10 when my family got our first joint email account, where it was like our whole family's email. I mean, and then things exploded from there, and I had AIM by the time I was like 12. But like,
I
Just
sadly missed
time.
that conversation. John had kids doing kid shit, and I had to cancel, and I felt absolutely awful. And Philip's like, it's quite okay. Patrick had to cancel too. It's just one of those things unavoidable. I hate feeling unreliable. Like I'm that asshole who's 5 minutes early to work because I just don't like feeling unreliable, and so having to miss something like that, even though this isn't a job, it's just fun, but I felt awful. It didn't matter in the end because he had like 6 other people on the call with him, but it sucks, it sucks.
I
when
mean, you
feel
wanted
like
to do it.
you let somebody down like that. No, it's more about letting people down more than. I mean, sure. I mean,
I'm sure Philip
talk to the author of the book I just read is always a lot of fun, especially when it's John Glenn, who's a badass and doesn't write bad books like ever. He's undefeated.
No misses, no skips.
Crap. How's he wrote 10 books and none of them sucked? It's just like, what in the world, man? And this wasn't even something you wanted to do for the longest time. You decided to do it when you were like in your late 40s. What the fuck? Yeah. Does that make like people who have been really, really struggling for a long time? Does that make them mad? When it's like, it's like people who never played a sport at all in high school and it was like, I'm just going to walk on. They become like superstars. And it's like, what?
I mean, there's like a certain level of. I feel like the period of jealousy passes pretty quickly, and at the end of the day, you're like, that person's actually really cool, and their books are fucking amazing. And so,
doesn't it make you wonder though if there's any like secret super talent that you have? Like, I always wonder, like, what if I was meant to be like a badass like water polo player? That's not gonna be true. I barely can swim, but like, you know what I mean? It's like
MJ,
something
you're
I've
too
just
short-
never
you're too
tried.
short to be a
This
water
master
polo.
archer, and I don't even
And now
know.
I'm like too old. You know what I mean? It's like I
Right.
can't get started with like most of these sports. What if
No,
I
but
was
it's
supposed
like,
to be a gymnast?
No, but you're never there. There are certain points in life where it's like you're never too old to just try something new at the very least. Like,
I always knew that I was good at talking, so there's that.
yeah, he's got the
I
face for
crushed
man.
it.
Every time he looks in the mirror, he's like, "That's it. That's it."
No,
That's for me."
no, so like I used to always people be, I'm not good at like breaking the ice or whatever. It's like, look, I think I'm one of the few world's extroverted introvert. Like I will always choose to stay home and not go out. But if I'm in that setting, I'm a social butterfly. It's just the way that I am, and it's exhausting, and I hate it because I don't
People
like
think that I'm
I don't like
do it.
mingling with people I don't know. You know,
They think I'm extroverted all the time, and then like I've had more than one like people that I work with because I'm all chitter chattery at work, and then they'll invite me to go to lunch, and I'll always have an excuse why I don't want to go to lunch because like my lunchtime is sacred. Like I don't have to talk to anybody. Okay, well, I'm going.
You know what
where
you can
are.
do when you eat lunch alone? You can read a book.
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. At work,
I mean, not
I'm like
anything, but
super
like,
buttoned up,
They think
super
I
buttoned
hate
up
them.
professional
because
at work, and they actually tell me at work that I'm quiet, and I just like that's a good one because they don't know. It's almost like
just
I'm
saving
just
up
the
your
model
words
of
for later.
professionalism at the office
Yeah,
because I mean, not to get into any topics that no one wants to get into, but I was
you're like the mullet of like
10
of
years
booktubers.
ago, everybody was getting in trouble at my office. And I was like, well, I am going to be a model citizen and I'm not going in a door closed with anybody. I'm not going to hug anybody. I'm not going to do anything. So I was like, I'm just going to be a robot at work from now on because I was seeing people get fired for all sorts of stuff. So,
and then YouTube is where the mullet comes out. Business in the front, party in the back.
more of a like a comb over, I think, than a mullet.
Business on the left, party on the right. Oh my god. But yeah, I think it's like, I don't know, when I was Worldcon really showed me how much my introversion sort of like the battery level that I have.
No teabag, because I have the people who still think that this is stupid. that what I'm doing is dumb and no one could possibly give a shit about that. They think it's completely dumb.
You're
No
like,
one cares about what
100,000
you're reading,
people
Mike. I'm like,
disagree
well,
with
I beg to differ, you know.
I'll show you.
But yeah, there's people like if they aren't in the podcasting or the YouTubing, the content creation business, all they think it's a waste of time. They think it's foolish and they don't understand why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So I was
it's
like,
not for them. More
my
fun
in real
for us.
life friends, I still have almost all of my in real life friends are still like, what are you reading for? Not what are you reading? What are you reading for? They're still like that. You know, I'll just wait and watch the movie. Because I remember when I first started the channel, I told them I was going to read this 15-book fantasy series called The Wheel of Time. And I'm like, why are you going to read that? I'm like, why am I going to read it? Not, hey, that's awesome. What's it about? Or, you know,
Right,
that's really
right.
kick ass. Just why are you going to read that? You know, it's like, is it a chore? I was like, you've known me my whole life and I've always read books. I don't, confuses me.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. I look back on it. I'm like, I'm definitely think this is worth it. Like, it taught me a ton, and I don't think my book would have done as well as it has were it not for the platform that the podcast has given me, the people that it's connected me with, you know. It's
Well,
like,
and the tips that you've
yeah,
learned
and
from
everything
the
that
other writers.
everything
I
that
know
I've learned from the other authors.
I'm
I mean,
taking
like,
notes every time we're
yeah,
interviewing
No,
somebody.
I never had a mullet. I had a butt cut and I had a rat tail when I was a kid.
Oh no, yeah,
Remember
you
rat tail?
no, not the
You're
rat
back
tail.
here.
1986. Chill out.
you little rat kid.
Yeah, but I never did the mullet. Even in the
Oh my
90s, I was
God.
like, "What are y'all doing? That shit's ridiculous. What are you doing? Stop." Never
And
did
now
that.
they're
Never
bringing-
did the
now
mustache.
They're bringing the mullet back. Apparently,
Yeah,
like,
they
You
are.
know, my
it's-
wife told me that they're bringing the mullet back, and it's not like ironic. They're just like actually
Yeah.
doing it. I'm like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah.
I
But
always
that-
joke that this goes in
everything's
30-year
cyclical.
cycles. In 30 years, everything is new again. So, you know,
Right.
last decade it was all about the 80s nostalgia. Now it's the 90s stuff. And it's like
Yeah.
30, because I went to her, one of her things at her
Oh
school.
god, the
and they're wearing
2000s
like
is gonna
they're
suck.
wearing Jinkos again. I was like, what the hell? Jinkos are back? I had no idea.
Dude, the 2030s is gonna suck because it's gonna be the 2000s all over again.
So we all
Oh,
like scared of Y2K
fuck.
again, or
Well, good. They can, you know what? They can pry my high-waisted jeans from my cold, dead hands. I'm not going back to low rise. I'm not doing it.
Oh my
Pro
God.
mullet.
Brian, I believe that not only do you dress up with a mullet on your channel, I believe you had a mullet. I do believe. I gotta see these pictures. I'm sure
Wait,
you
what
must
is
have some of those
NA
pictures.
Summer is saying? I had a mullet when I was a kid, and then a scene mullet. What the fuck is a scene mullet
I have no idea.
in your late
Oh,
teens?
was that like scene emo kid mullet? Like where you had like with the stripy hair, or like
Is
where it
that
was
a
all
thing?
black and like down and then the whole thing? Was
Dude.
that the vibe?
Experience the joy that is leisure suits. I don't know why that made me think of this
Oh, I
like
can't
horrible
wait.
video
Can't
game.
wait.
This horrible video game in the 90s. I think it was called like Leisure Suit Larry. It's basically.
Oh, I
just,
remember
like-
Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude. it was
those games
so
were like
ridiculous.
legendary when we were kids. We just wanted to
Oh my
steal them.
God. Yeah, that was like the closest like a kid with a computer could get to like porn without actually looking at porn. Was playing Leisure Suit Larry.
Scene
Oh my
mullet.
God.
Scene mullet is I don't even know what that word is.
Sakuke Uchiha haircut. Literally, it was Sasuke's hair. Okay, let me see.
See, yeah, Leisure Suit Larry. I said we just wanted to know they existed because they were like myth when I was growing up. We just couldn't comprehend that there was like X-rated video games. We
Yeah,
just couldn't
exactly.
believe it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah,
Sasuke.
MJ, you were right. It's like it's basically this like
I was right. This
Yeah.
you were speaking to a former emo kid, okay?
Yeah. If any Naruto fans out there,
What?
yeah, it's like that emo.
MJ, did you ever wear the black lipstick and the black mascara?
Did I? You
She
say that as
still
though I
does.
don't still sometimes wear that.
She
remember
just
when-
had Goth Girl Summer. Get what the fuck?
It was I was laughing.
Listening.
Saying, I remember when like the goth guys were painting their fingernails black, and my wife's like, "Boys are painting their fingernails all the time now." I'm like, "Really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Wild."
Yeah,
it's like
changing
times
of
we're
the
living in now.
times, man.
Again,
Yeah.
I turn into my parents all the time. Like,
It's like TikTok and all that shit.
well, I have to hear my
Small
kids say
different
stuff
names.
like skibbity and shit that I have no idea what the hell Rizzler and
Yeah,
What
okay,
is
that's
Stigma
yeah, that's,
and shit.
for
I'm
me.
like, what are
I'm
y'all
I'm trying to pretend I'm hip until that stuff comes up, and I have no
Uh,
idea what's going on.
I'm so excited because I get to hear my kids talk all that shit in 2 languages and be like, I don't know what the fuck.
I was like, oh
you're
yeah,
talking
well we knew Pig Latin. Suck
Yeah.
it.
about."
Uck say, it say. So me and my wife will be picking
Such a
Latin, and they're
loser,
like,
Dad.
"Yo, dorks." Yes.
You're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah,
So-
but I'm excited for the day my kids finally realize, like, yeah, your dad's a dork. He runs a fucking sci-fi fantasy podcast. Wait, when did you not realize?
Yeah,
this?
sometimes they say like, "Oh, y'all are dorks." It's like, "Oh no, you got me
Right?
on that one."
Yeah.
You know,
Whoa.
you really.
When
hurt
did
my
I
feelings.
say otherwise?
I was only afraid of that back in like 7th grade. You know,
Right.
now
I don't
it
know
just
if I was
embrace
ever
it.
afraid of that. I was a
Like my
band
youngest
kid
kid's
from
been
like
fucking
beginning.
with me lately about, "Oh, you're a nerd because you wear glasses." I'm like, "Wow, I'm back in junior high again. You can call me Four Eyes next." I'm like, "Geez,
Oh,
okay."
love it. It's like
No, I hear Skibbity Man, and I'm just like, "What in the hell?"
I
is all
seriously
that?
have no idea what that means. I need to look this
Something
up.
about Skibbity toilets.
I have
Skibbity
heard
toilets?
that said, and I have absolutely no clue.
Every
what-
time they say something, I don't know what they're talking about. I figured they're talking about Roblox, the game.
I'm
that they
too
play.
afraid to Google it. Yeah, probably Roblox.
Okay.
Skibbity
So it's,
toilet, like toilets with heads in them. I don't.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
I'm seeing it now. There's some people in toilets.
I always will judge them and be like,
Huh.
who watches this shit? And then I remember I watched Saved by the Bell and didn't think it was stupid. So, what do I know?
Yo, I used to watch like Salad Fingers, and I'm like, y'all can
Oh
do
my
whatever the fuck
God.
Oh my god.
I bet you had a Tamagotchi, didn't you?
Oh, I definitely did, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yo,
Remember-
that was the hot fad in my school, and then people
And
got upset
Furbies. I remember people fighting over
Yeah.
Furbies and Beanie
No,
Babies.
for-
Yeah. there
For
was
me,
fight.
it was like Beanie Babies and people.
Oh, no. For me, it was Cabbage Patch Kids. Are you kidding? I'm way
Ooh,
older than that.
wow. No, like Pokemon cards were that was a tumultuous time at my school.
I was telling my
people
kid,
had binders.
I was working
People
at
had
a
binders, and they would
Funkoland,
steal other kids' binders.
which is now GameStop, but it was a video game store
Mhm.
in 1997 or 8, I think. And we were just like, what in the world is this? They want us to sell these cards now, these things called Pokemon cards. And we're like, no one's going to come here. And it's funny because now how expensive they are. It's like, no one's going to come here and pay $1 a pack for this shit. And they were gone in 10 minutes. We're like, what in the hell is going on? But even then, and then Pokemon Blue and Yellow, when the Game Boy games came out,
Yeah.
huge. But even then, I was like, well, this isn't going to last long. And we are like 25 years later,
Yeah.
as big as it ever was. So,
Jealous happened.
sometimes you're wrong on these things. But yeah, I was there at the launch point of Pokemon in the
Right.
States and thinking, what is this? Nobody cares about this shit at a video game
Dude.
store. Yeah.
Pokemon Blue and Red and Yellow, like that just like made my summer vacations. Like we would go on road trips with my parents. I'm like, yo, give me like a 10-pack of batteries. Let's fucking go.
Here we go. It was
Ooh.
Magic the Gathering. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Magic the Gathering. I was like, so we're
Yu-Gi-Oh
done
cards,
with
wow.
Dungeons and Dragons now? We're on to Magic the Gathering, huh? It costs how much? No, I'm good. I'm just going to get the old notebook, the spiral notebook out and, think some more D&D stuff. Or my
Drop myself.
barbarian just punches everybody real hard. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. No, I guess I was more into video games, I guess, than I was into role playing.
I was all over the board though.
Where do you guys stand on this whole what progression, fantasy, lit RPG, all that? Do you guys have any opinion about this shit? Because
I mean, the only lit RPG I've ever read is Dungeon Crawler Carl. So
I binge read the shit out of Dungeon Crawler.
I was going to bring that up
I
because
love it so much.
everyone wanted me to read Cradle, and oh my god, it was like, this is totally. You guys know I'm a character reader, and this has no character at all. It's like this is like reading someone grinding on Final Fantasy. It's like, what am I reading right now? I was like, this is not my thing.
But
everybody
that's the
starts
vibe.
being like,
Yeah.
oh, well, you got to try Dungeon Crawler Carl now, and I'm just like, do you guys ever remember what happened with me at Cradle? But they're like, no, it's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. So
Mike,
It's so
it's not.
good.
It's
I'll
not.
try
It's
book
not.
1 this year.
Yeah.
But then here's the thing. They're like, but you can't read it. You have to listen to it. I don't audiobook. They're like, well, you're just doing it wrong.
You can. I've read book 1 in physical, and then I did do the rest on audio because I've heard that. But I'm going to read book 7 on physical because I'm not waiting until February for the audio. It's good at book 3.
Cradle gets his book.
Because every time you start one of these fantasy series, there's always someone like, oh, all you got to do, like Malazan. Oh, wait till you get to book 6. It'll all start to make sense. Fucking book 6? These
Right.
things are like this.
No, but Dungeon Crawler Carl, that I think it's just like if you like good humor, like good humorous books, then it will
It's
be
bizarre, but it's self-aware about the
Yeah.
ways in which it's
It's very
ridiculous, which
satirical.
makes it very fun.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mike, I'm gonna throw this out. Okay, like, do you like? I know you live in Texas. Do you like Mike Judge stuff?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Oh,
King of the
definitely.
Hill,
Yeah.
or
Beavis and Butthead.
I think like Idiocracy is probably like the best
Okay.
comparison that I can make.
Office
If you
Space.
like that kind of satirical humor, that self-aware humor in the form of a book that I wouldn't even call it like super lit RPG either. For me, it reads like a very interesting story.
So like there's definitely like
No, but they're
elements in
Every
like,
person that tells me they think I'll like it, I have another person that says you won't like it. So it's just like I don't know where I'm going to come down on this one.
Okay, here's the thing: if you try book one, they're not even that long. You know what I mean?
That's right, so I'll give it a shot.
Like you could just kind of mow
Right.
through it.
But
And I don't
MJ,
know
this
what
is the
your
thing,
stance
like-
is on DNFing. I am the queen of DNFing. If I'm not enjoying a book, like I'm reading for fun. Like this is.
I know y'all are
school.
Bald Tree fans, so I'll probably
You
hurt
know?
your feelings with this. I would read Dungeon Crawler Carl 100 times before I would read Legends and Lattes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's
totally
the thing.
fine.
It's no book is for
Cozy
everyone.
fantasy does not
Yeah,
sound like my jam.
Yeah, but MJ, there are lit RPG books that like legit have like fucking like charts and shit inside them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That to me is like that is
Blasphemy.
prime.
Love Hitchhiker's
I just hate
Guide.
fun, which is
I
why
just
I
hate
also
fun. I mean, at least self-aware. It's a good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. But I think Dungeon Crawler Carl, the thing is, it's a fun story, and the characters are fun, and the
For
situation.
me, I have no problem with it. It's
Yeah.
just like completely just self-aware. That's one thing. But if you just get so meta that it's just like this isn't even enjoyable anymore, that's where I kind of draw the line. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not Deadpool or Kevin Spacey in House of Cards, it's really hard to break the fourth wall of me to keep going. It's really, really hard. That's hard to pull
That's
off.
fair.
So it's one of those things, you know.
Just give it a
Yeah.
try, man. You read like the first 50 pages, you'll know if you're into it or not.
Sweet, Brian. That's a challenge. I will take it.
I'll
Now,
make an
now,
apology video.
now I'm gonna hate
Can
it.
you, if you do the apology video, you have to wear a mullet.
No, you just start growing it now, Brian. Just start
Yeah.
growing a mullet right now. I heard they're back.
Just that
I
you're
heard
ready.
they're back.
They're
I heard
back.
they're
Yeah. It's a scene mullet. Grow a scene mullet.
You'll be all the rage. Those aren't back yet. Oh, we got
They're
another
They're not.
10 years.
That'll be 10 years and scene mullets are back on the scene.
So, what do you guys? I feel this is a good final topic. What are you guys reading right now, or what do you have planned to read? Anything special?
MJ, you can go first.
Or y'all just kind of mood reader? Are y'all mood readers?
Oh yeah,
I'm the biggest mood reader.
I
Yeah.
started out not a mood reader, and then
Schedule.
MJ became my co-host.
I
and
have
now-
to schedule, or I will go crazy.
Yeah. I make a schedule and then I just don't stick to it.
That's even worse.
I'm like, oh,
I
that's
work in
good to
finance. This
hear.
does not compute. No.
And then someone will come recommend a book to me and I'll go, oh, that sounds really good. And then I read that. So like I actually just binge read all 4 of the John Dies at the End books.
Oh, you read
I
all
read
of
the
them.
first one
I
last
read
year.
all 4 of them,
Shit,
Adrian.
dude. Oh,
Yeah. But I am finally going to pick back up on Stormlight Archive now. I read Way
nice.
of Kings like 2 years ago and loved it. Loved it. Talked to my brother-in-law for like 2 hours when I got hammered one night about how he needs to read it. Like,
Words of Radiance is great.
big fan. Yeah,
really
once
like
I
that
finally
one.
picked that up. So that's next on my list. So
I have not read any Stormlight Archives books because it's just like it's just too daunting to be
they're
like.
chonky. Yeah.
I
they
know,
fat.
like I have like a mass market paperback. It's like 1,200 pages or something. Like, God damn it. So
That's why I've seen people that have never read Stormlight, and they're like, okay, well, book 5 coming out. I'm going to read, starting a couple months before I'm going to read all 4, one per month. I'm like, you're going to burn yourself out big time doing that, because that is a thick, thick series. But I'm trying to finish
I'll
this
like it.
between now and when the last Stormlight book comes out on December 6th. I don't know if I'll make it because
Well, how far are you now? Did you just start it?
I lost my bookmark just now. It just fell out, but I have it on my Kindle. I think I was chapter 24, so like page 300, 330, and it's only this far.
So
in the
you're
book.
a full book in already. Got it.
You're almost finished Mushroom Blues.
I have
You're
finished,
an Among Thieves in.
I have
Yeah.
finished a Malazan prologue. Yes, it's really good.
Oh
It's
my
really
God.
good though.
Nice.
That's what I
I've
got.
had an Adrian Tchaikovsky just a moment,
Well,
It's like,
I mean, we're talking to him Thursday,
yeah,
so
we're chatting with him in a couple of days. But like, I go through phases where I'll read like 2 or 3 Tchaikovsky books in a row, and thankfully he puts out like 17 books a year, so I'm covered there. But I finished Alien Clay, which is weird as shit, but I really enjoyed it. And then I'm digging deeper into his series, The Tyrant Philosophers, which started with City of Last Chances.
I only read
Um,
Children of Time. So I
That's
don't know if
fine.
Tchaikovsky. I don't want to judge him off one book because he's
Yeah.
got like a million.
Yeah.
So I figure he's probably one of those writers that like, if I try one, I'm sure he's probably got something out there that I really like. Because he's
Yeah.
wrote so much.
And
He's
so
got
many
something for
different
everybody.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got fantasy. He's got
I don't
hard
like
sci-fi. He's
sci-fi
got space
books that
opera.
just turn into my science project. I don't like that. And
There's
I feel
some.
like
He has like a more space opera series.
Children of Time
Called
to
The
me
Final
felt like
Architecture.
he had a spider and ant farm when he was a kid and he wanted to write it into a story. That's what it sounded like to me. And I was like, he's talented, man. I was like, that's just not my type of sci-fi.
Yeah.
I like
That's
space
totally
opera.
He's got some space opera series.
Yeah, I didn't think Alan really recommended that one of his fantasy series, like a Flintock series that he's done to me too.
Yeah.
So I was like, really, sci-fi writer? He's got a Flintock fantasy series? Wow, that's some range right there.
Dude's got incredible range. But
Get
yeah, so
you
I'm
an
like
author that can
having
do
my
both.
Tchaikovsky moment, and then I'm gonna read Lightfall by my friend Ed Crocker.
I've seen the cover recently.
So
I think.
just gonna get we're chatting with him soon for the podcast, so gonna get some vampires up in my life.
Have you guys read Empire of the Vampire, or is that?
I have
No,
not. Like,
I've heard
never
such good
been.
things though.
Okay.
I've never been like a huge vampire person, but I'm kind of like, okay, Jay, I'm gonna give that a shot.
The thing is, it's like Jay still like emails me sometimes and thanks me for like getting guys to read his books because he said he was like really starting to fall into that thing where like everybody just thought he just wrote chick lit.
Right.
Oh, really?
His words, not mine.
No, but that's
And
that's funny. That's not an association I've had.
No,
with
but
him
the
at
thing
all.
is, like, his book has not been marketed in that way at all.
he was so
Yeah.
awesome. He was like, I could not get guys to come near Nevernight or Empire of the Vampire before you talked about them. So he's like, thank you. And I'm like, that's awesome, man. I'm glad because they're awesome freaking books, man. I was like, when did guys get scared to read books that had a female protagonist? I was like, I grew up watching Buffy, man. So I was like, I'm all about it. Give it to me. But Nevernight's great. And I think that Empire of the Vampires really a lot more complex than people think it is. But I think it's a marketing thing.
Yeah.
Is you look at the UK cover, awesome looking. It looks like an adult fantasy vampire series. You look at the American version, it's got a guy with no shirt on, a bunch of tattoos. What the fuck do you think people are going to think it is? So they're going to think it's more romantic.
I don't know if I've ever seen the US cover.
Yeah, I don't think I've.
It has
on the
Gabriel
Oh,
on the front with
shit.
no shirt
Okay,
on.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the only one I've ever seen is the super badass one that actually looks kind of like an anime. It looks like a vampire anime.
awesome.
That's a beautiful cover. I have never seen this one where he has like. It
The
looks like
tattoos and shirt,
it looks like vampire romance fan art.
They're trying to, they're probably trying to capitalize on the romance.
Oh, no doubt. No
and
doubt. And
audience.
here's the thing. I just tell people all the time, look, I always say don't judge a book by its cover unless it's awesome. But these, it's just like, trust me, Jay is, yes, he writes some smut in his books. Don't get me wrong. He's very good at it. He's very, very good at it because he told me the story about how he read like 23 of his wife's smut novels, so he knew how to write smut correctly in his own work. So he did his homework.
He did his research.
I was like,
you
so if
know?
that bothers
It's
you,
just for
okay,
research, just
I
for
get
work.
it. But so many people are like, oh, I tried to read Empire of the Vampire. It's just so edgelord. I'm like, I can't deny that that's true. But I mean, he does it well. He does it very well. It's very good. But I was like, I grew up reading Anne Rice, man, and Salem's Lot and Dracula. And I'm like, it's just so exciting to have a vampire series again where they aren't just sexy. They're badasses, they're actually vicious monsters. And I love that. I needed that. I need the adults to take vampires back again. And I feel like
if you want some like adult vampire shit, go check out Christopher Buehlman's old books.
I have Black Tongue Thief?
Oh, Black Tongue
Yeah,
Thief,
but
that's great.
that's not his vampire.
And
That's
that
not
new
his vampire.
Daughter's War one. That's the only two books of his I have. I already read Between Two Fires. I like the.
Yeah.
No, but
Dude,
Christopher
Between Two Fires was
Buehlman.
so good.
If you want a vampire book from him, there's one called The Lesser Dead. And then there's another one which is like basically vampires who kill people by like running them over. It's like basically like a car gang.
They're like a motorcycle gang, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
on my TBR. I haven't read it yet.
Oh crap! What is that one called again? I can't remember. But he's got two. So definitely go check them out.
All right, my recommendation is you guys read Empire of the Vampire, and then you ask Jay to come on the podcast because it will be a blast. He will talk to you for like 5 hours, and it will be amazing. It's
Grandma Mal.
I know. I was saying Grandma
hours.
MJ is going to need us at that recording time
She's
early.
tired. She's tired, man.
Likewise, I was used to authors always being like, "Oh, I've only got like an hour or so," and like Jay, we talked for like an hour before we even started recording. It is like it'd been like 2 hours had flown by, and then we talked for like an hour after, and I was like, "Am I keeping you?" He's like, "No, man, it's great." He's like, "I'm like his third." He's like on his third bottle. I'm like, "Holy shit!" No, he's an awesome dude. Awesome dude.
Well, I'm definitely gonna check it out. I got another book haul I'm gonna do at the end of this year, and I'll throw that one in there.
Rocco, so if it sucks, it's not my fault. I guess I'll do an apology.
That's totally fine, man. If Dungeon Crawler Carl sucks for you, that's life.
All right.
It's all good.
We'll be talking about it. So tell everybody where they can find people at.
MJ, go for it.
Sure. You can find me on way too many social media platforms at MJ Kuhn Books, all one word. Or just go to my website, mjkuhn.com. And also, hey, I have a book, and I have a couple of them, but this is the first one. So if you like fantasy heist shit and protagonists that swear a lot and fight people with hatchets.
I like all these things.
And book two is
fantasy heist
thieves, but
fantasy
I call it
heist shit. Yeah. Book two, thick ass thieves.
Thick ass thieves.
Yeah. It's called thick ass thieves, but it's more fun to say thick ass thieves.
Yes, it is.
So that's all my shit.
and as we say on our podcast, go support MJ's work so you can feed her cat.
Yes, you can feed my cat, Thorin. He's a very hungry boy. So.
Super hungry.
And the podcast is on everything, like Spotify, Apple,
all across
Google.
the board. But you can find video on Spotify and.
I got a
YouTube.
link down below to their link tree, guys, and anything that you're looking for down there in the description, you'll be able to find it.
And then you can go find my book, Mushroom Blues, if you want some fungal noir up in
Really
your
fun
life.
color. I like the blue.
Yeah, it's a murder mystery, but set in a world with mushroom people. And this is book 1 in the Hoffman Report series. I'll have more stuff coming. Don't you worry. But
it's definitely
that's
unique.
in paperback and hardcover, and audiobook is coming out soon. So y'all can enjoy them. That's everywhere. It's like you can find it on Amazon, or if you want to go to Barnes & Noble. You can't find it in the actual store because that's just how Barnes & Noble does shit. But you can order it through them.
Maybe you should write a romantasy sequel, and Barnes & Noble will carry it. There you go. Crossover. Sell out. Do it.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a mushroom person with a 6-pack. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna write some fungal smut.
Thank you guys for joining me. I feel like if it wasn't a work night, we probably talked like another hour or so at least. But check out the podcast. You guys still doing about one a week, right?
Yeah,
we got it every Tuesday. You can find it all across the board if you want to follow us at SFF Addicts Pod. I'm everywhere at Adrian M. Gibson. Teabaggins, mushroom screws.
I know. I was thinking you could call it like spreading.
John H. Stevenson, the
mushroom
fourth,
tips.
the mushroom tip, and then the tagline, just the tip. That's it.
And on that note, I think we'll go ahead and close this down. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me on such short notice.
Guys,
and
pleasure.
We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye, everybody.